In the final days of Jesus' earthly life, a series of events unfolded that would forever change the course of history. This is the story of the Passion of Christ, a journey of betrayal, suffering, and ultimate sacrifice. In an upper room in Jerusalem, Jesus shared his final meal with his disciples. He took bread, gave thanks, and broke it, saying, "This is my body given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." Then he took the cup, saying, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is poured out for you." After the supper, Jesus went with his disciples to the Garden of Gethsemane. In deep anguish, he prayed, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." An angel from heaven appeared to him and strengthened him. Judas, one of his disciples, arrived with a large crowd armed with swords and clubs sent by the chief priests and elders. Judas approached Jesus and kissed him, saying, "Rabbi," and Jesus was arrested. His disciples fled in fear. Jesus was taken to the high priest's house, where the Sanhedrin had assembled. They accused him of blasphemy, and many false witnesses came forward. Finally, the high priest asked, "Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One?" Jesus replied, "I am." The high priest tore his clothes and said, "Why do we need any more witnesses? You have heard the blasphemy." Meanwhile, Peter followed at a distance. As he sat in the courtyard, a servant girl recognized him and said, "You also were with Jesus of Galilee." Peter denied it 3 times, saying, "I don't know the man." Immediately a rooster crowed, and Peter remembered Jesus' words and wept bitterly. Jesus was brought before Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor. Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus replied, "You have said so." Pilate found no basis for a charge against him, but the crowd shouted, "Crucify him!" Fearing a riot, Pilate washed his hands and said, "I am innocent of this man's blood." Pilate had Jesus flogged. The soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns and put it on his head. They mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" and struck him repeatedly. Jesus carried his cross to Golgotha, the place of the skull. They nailed him to the cross and divided his garments. Above his head, they placed the written charge against him. "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over the land. At about 3, Jesus cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Then he gave up his spirit. A rich man named Joseph of Arimathea asked Pilate for Jesus' body. He wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and placed it in his own new tomb, cut out of the rock. He rolled a big stone in front of the entrance and went away. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were sitting there, opposite the tomb. After the Sabbath, at dawn on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to look at the tomb. Suddenly there was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven and rolled back the stone. The angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here. He has risen just as he said." The Passion of Christ is a story of love, sacrifice, and redemption. Jesus' death and resurrection offer the hope of eternal life to all who believe. His life continues to transform hearts and lives around the world.